This is the RACER H2O podcast.
It's time to drop that flag!
Go! Come on. Right here, go get him! Cut it tight. Be on the tractor, baby! Bring it home!
And now here's your host.
Rewind battle for the lead, shoulder to shoulder, going into turn one. Rips that boot around!
Jared Rosberg.
All right. What's up, troops? It's your old pal Jared here. Welcome to the RACER H2O podcast. Hey, I'm not wearing a mask, but I just washed my hands, so fans, feel safe. We're clean and green here. Man, we had a lot going on this past weekend, fans. Got a lot going on in the show. Let's get to it.
Stand by for the news.
The big news this week, fans, buckle your chin straps. RACER H2O will be bringing its cameras and national television coverage to Branson, Missouri to showcase Powerboat Nationals Pro Tunnel 2 and Hydrocross racing. August 22nd and 23rd, Powerboat Nationals will be holding a double header with both Saturday and Sunday being full days of racing. Both days, time trials, heats, finals on both days. Huge weekend of racing. Coverage of Saturday's racing will be seen in over 130 million households on networks that include Fox Sports Southeast. Then, Sunday's races will be seen in over 120 million households on RACER H2O's full family of television networks. Get all the information about our TV coverage at racerh2o.com. We'll be posting stuff on social media leading up to this huge event. And speaking of huge events and personal watercraft racing, it was a huge weekend this past weekend in Tavares, Florida. Surf and Turf Promotions held round number 1 of the Hydro Turf U.S. Hydro Drag and Hydro Cross Championships on Lake Dora. They raced 3 disciplines of racing that weekend. First off, in Speed Alley, Jose Luis Hernandez set a new unlimited world speed record. He topped 135 miles per hour on a jet ski on top of Lake Dora. 135 miles per hour. Once again, Tavares, Florida, the home of another world speed record. Congratulations again to Jose Luis Hernandez. In Hydro Drags, Isel Pupo had a great weekend, bringing home wins in both the Pro Stock and Spec classes. Victor Gonzalez was the winner in the Super Stocks, and Carlito de Valle. Boy, we hear that name a lot. We saw him last year. Carlito held on to his title as the unlimited champ in the Hydro Drags. In closed course racing from Tavares, the youth movement continues in 2020. Sammy Nemi, yeah, that's Sam's kid, stayed ahead of fellow teen Hayden Skellett and brought home the win in the Sports Spec class. Then in Sport GP, it was Dustin's kid, Devin Farthing, getting ahead of Hayden Skellett and taking a top step on the podium in Sport GP. The old man, Matt Johnson, took third in both of the Sport Boat podiums. James Wilson was the winner in the Ski Open class, and Torrey Snyder grabbed 2 wins. One in the runabout stock class, and then he turned around and won the Pro-Am Enduro event in Tavares. Visit surfandturfpromotions.com, fans, for all the results from that event. The U.S. Title Series was racing this past weekend in Constantine, Michigan. Jason Saylor and Sidney Helston held off Austin Vanover and Aaron Pittman to take home the win in the 1100 runabouts. Eric Vanover won the 1100 Hydro feature. And for a complete list of the results from the U.S. Title Series racing in Constantine, Michigan, visit ustitleseries.net.
And that was the news.
RACER H2O is heading back to Branson, Missouri to showcase the Pro Tunnel 2 boats. One guy dominated on Lake Taneycomo last year. Hey fans, did you fear the beard? Don't be scared. Steve Merleau, the 2019 Branson winner and PT2 world champion, joins us in just a little over 15 seconds.
This is the RACER H2O podcast. Get up-to-the-minute watercraft racing news and fantastic bonus content by joining RACER H2O on social media.
Links to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube pages are easy to find at racerh2o.com.
You're listening to the RACER H2O podcast.
Fans, welcome back to the podcast. As you heard me say in the first part of the podcast, we're heading back to Branson, Missouri this year. Pretty excited to be doing that. And, all through 2019, all we heard and the echoes throughout powerboat racing, fear the beard, fear the beard. And whether you did fear the beard or whether you thought that beard was weird, it doesn't matter. Our guest this week, he dominated Powerboat Nationals Pro Tunnel 2 Series, took pretty much everybody to the woodshed in the SST 45 class in 2019. Joining me now from his shop while he's working on some boats is our 2019 Pro Tunnel 2 World Champion from Powerboat Nationals, Steve Merleau. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Steve, your family, no stranger to powerboat racing. We hear the Merleau name all over the place. Your dad heavily involved. Your brother races in the F1 ranks, the F2 ranks. And we saw you on the water in a limited capacity with Powerboat Nationals in 2018. 2019, last year, man, you came on strong, and that's a mild word to use. Did you have any idea when you started in 2019 that the 66 would be as dominant of a boat as it was?
Yeah, so, 2018, we were fast. We just couldn't keep the boat together. It's a wood boat, and my dad built it back in 2012, and it had a lot of time and a lot of banging and all that through the races. So it was unfortunate in 2018. It kind of showed itself and continued to fall apart. So we had Jim Fairchild rebuild the boat from top to bottom. And 2019 I knew was going to be a really strong year. I was not aware that it was going to be that strong, but I knew we were going to be a contender. We still had a few hiccups. We had a couple races where we were leading and winning, and motor failures or a prop failure made us start at the end of the dock, and having to race with Mark Schmierbach made it tough to get around him from the end of the dock. So that was the only two races for the year that we took second, which was a bummer because we were winning. But so 2019 we knew we were going to have a strong year.
Well, you knew you were going to be a contender, but it's easier to be a contender when the defending series champ is on the sidelines. He's not in the field. Do you think things might have been a little bit different had the Screaming Eagle 18 of Jason Nelson been competing in the field with you in 2019?
Yeah. We raced with him in Knoxville. He had his struggles with his steering. Jason has always been somebody that I've respected a lot. Him and I can race deck to deck, and I have nothing to worry about. He's always been fast. We've both always been fast, so it's just one of those things. Who's got the better setup, right? So in 2018, obviously he had the setup, and he got it done. And in 2019, I proved that my 2018 was behind me and moved forward with that. And then I know he had some of those issues with his, I think it was his Achilles or it's something with his foot, wasn't it?
I believe it was his Achilles. He had a torn Achilles. He was playing, we joked and said he was playing what Madden or NBA 2K or something like that, but he was actually playing basketball. Jason, if you're listening, I'm not going to throw you under the bus again. We were just goofing with you last year, but it was a sports-related injury. Let's say it wasn't a couch-related injury, but yeah, and it makes it awfully hard when you don't have two legs. You're trying to get into that boat and trying to run all the pedals and all, or the gas pedal and all that, But, last year in 2019, Steve, Branson, the place we're going to be going to, taking our national TV cameras and coverage to this year, you shined in Branson last year. It was our first trip there, and, man, what a fantastic location for a boat race, all the fans there. I mean, PT2, you guys usually the undercard behind, the PT1s or with the 45s, the F1s are usually on top of the card, but Branson has you guys as the top of the card. Heading back into 2020, now we're dealing with a pandemic and all that stuff. Travel can be touchy. We had kind of a small boat count there in 2019. How do you think the boat count's going to look in 2020 with the national TV coverage? And word has to be out about how great Branson is, right?
Yeah, no. Well, first I'll start off with how awesome Branson was. We last year we took our RV and we stayed at a local RV park, which happened to be right next to the pits, and super awesome. And we were able to cruise around with our scooters and spend a couple extra days. I think we went down there early just for that. Wow, talk about tourist town. They love their tourists and they take care of you. So we loved it. We traveled a lot of that area, ate a lot of the restaurants, loved all of it. And probably one of the coolest places to race a boat, just because of the way that the lake is set up. They say it's a lake. To me, it looks more like a river, but they call it a lake, and it's set right up on a boardwalk, and that boardwalk is amazing. If I remember correctly, I remember when I was coming through the field in one of the restarts and looking over and seeing, you couldn't see the buildings behind those people. The people were lined up shoulder to shoulder, and there's not very many places nowadays that I can say that happens. So that was pretty cool. But as for 2020, I'm hoping for a huge turnout. It's a great event. Obviously we've talked it up, and people know that it's a good event. The ones that didn't show, it's just it all depends on the pandemic and where they're coming from, right? So it all depends on if some of my fellow racers are feeling comfortable enough to come out. I hope they do, and I think some will. But it's getting the rest to jump on board to make sure that they're there for that huge event.
Well, we're talking with Powerboat Nationals Pro Tunnel 2 World Champion Steve Merleau. And what Steve's talking about, fans, we're going to start to put some of this extra footage on our YouTube channel, the RACER H2O YouTube channel, but it is already ready and waiting for you at the RMG Sports YouTube channel. We've got our TV coverage here. We've got some bonus clips, interviews from 2019. Again, we're going to start to pop those up on the RACER H2O stuff. But if you want to see what Steve's talking about with the huge crowd, shoulder to shoulder, in some cases 3-4 deep along that boardwalk. And it was kind of funny, Steve, being there on the boardwalk with the cameras, as soon as the engines would kick on, all the people would move from the stores and restaurants and shops that they had there at Branson Landing to the lakeside. You're right, it does look like a river, but it is a lake. To the lakeside. And by the time the race was rolling, it was 3-4 deep there. So they're going to have big crowds. I'm sure everyone's going to social distance. I'm sure Taney County and Branson's going to have everything all lined up as far as what the fans can and can't do. But it's big. It's a big event for fans. They're there. They're eager to see what you're doing. And a really nice thing, Steve, I have a couple more questions for you. These are all tourists. Most of these people are tourists. They come from all over the world to come to Branson. So they watch this. This isn't like we're entertaining just people in Branson. These people are from all over the world. So they come down and they look, they watch, and then they go back to wherever they came from and they start talking about powerboat racing, a Powerboat Nationals, and a Pro Tunnel 2. So there's a lot of benefits there, drivers, to make sure that you carve this out on your calendar and make sure you get to Branson. But Steve, I want to talk to you a little bit more about some of the other drivers because your competition was pretty tough in a couple of these events with some of these veteran drivers. Mark Schmerbach was a thorn in your side. You mentioned earlier. He gave you a run for your money in many of these races, stealing the top spot on the podium in Trenton and Wausau. Have you spoken with him? Do you think he'll be coming to Branson by chance?
I've not spoken with him. Mark and I have a mutual respect. We've been racing a long time, but that's as far as that goes. I find that when you start moving up the ranks and you start being that top guy, you lose some friends. So not that Mark and I have never not been friends, but we've had a mutual respect for each other. We've banged a lot, man. I can tell you more than once where we've ended up spinning each other out. Matter of fact, Orange, Texas, we've done it twice. We ended up getting moved to the dock twice, and we're just both being aggressive. He'll say it's my fault. I'll say it's his. Either way, we were crashing into each other, and I still think he beat me, but it was a 1-2 finish again. This year, 2019, I had the leg up on him. I had the beach start. I was able to keep him behind me. It's just, man, I don't know if luck is on his side, but he was able to get in front of me through a restart and then able to finish the race, which is good because he was with a new team, and so he's a driver for a new team, and they're doing well. So I hope to see him in Branson. I hope for the competitiveness, and I hope to show him the rear of my boat because that's all he's going to plan on seeing in Branson if he shows up.
Well, we talk about Mark Schmerbach. I have to talk about Jason Nelson, the Series 2018 champion. He should be back healthy, ready to rock and roll. Have you heard any word from him? Sure would be nice to have two past champions on the dock.
Yeah, we talk. We talk maybe once a month. Jason's a super cool guy. He came to Naples last year, Naples, Florida, and I think he was fast, but being off that long, you got to kind of get back into the groove. So he wasn't where we were. But I'd hope to see him back up there this year. But both of us being off, who knows? We might be deck to deck this year. I know that being that his boat's, I believe, in New York, there's a lot of stuff going on in the state of New York right now. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I know that he's going to try to make it, but it's awful tough when his crew and everything is in New York and he's in Georgia, and with travel restrictions and everything else going on. It's hard to say.
Well, with the travel restrictions, that adds a whole new element for every race promoter at every type of racing, whether it's local short track or anything on the water. You have teams coming from all over the United States, and if some of those United States have different rules about where you can go when you leave, or if you go there, what you have to do when you come back, that adds a whole new element to it. And a lot of teams are just saying, you know what, we might just wait till 2021, let all this stuff blow over. But, you dominated in 2019. You're back for a COVID-shortened 2020. Might have the Springfield race. And again, I still have to say might have the Branson race because we're planning on being there. Everything is set. Everything's ready to roll. But, this COVID stuff, man, it makes things change pretty much every day. But you've dominated this class, Steve. Are you ready to move up to a bigger boat, or do you like the view from the top where you are?
I think I'm ready to stay right in 45 class. I don't think I want to go to 20 or to the bigger class. My brother races the bigger class, and that's where he needs to be, and I need to be in the smaller class. It gets to be too difficult with a family racing in the same class.
Right. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're good at it, stick with it. That's fantastic. And I know a lot of the younger guys are watching you, and some of the older guys too, and they're trying to steal some pages from your playbook. But hey, we wish you the best of luck in Springfield, Steve. We can't wait to see you in Branson. Stay healthy, stay on top, and good luck to you in your prep for these races.
Thank you so much, Jared. And again, fear the beard for sure. The beard's not as long as this year. I did end up cutting it, but it's still long, and I'm still a dominant racer that needs to be worried about, because if anybody thinks they're going to take my crown, it's got something coming for them.
Well, he's the driver of the number 66 boat, drivers and fans. He's the series champion for Powerboat Nationals Pro Tunnel 2. His name is Steve Merleau. Steve he's hanging that target on his back, ladies and gentlemen. See if you can get around it. Do you fear the beard? So we'll have to see. Steve Merleau, thank you so much for your time, buddy.
Thank you, Jared.
Fans, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow all of Racer H2O's social media. Links to everything we're doing is at racerh2o.com. Hey, no matter how you're listening to this podcast, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. And stay in touch. Let us know what you think of the podcast, who you'd like to hear on here. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, fans, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from everybody. We'll all get through this together. I'm your old pal, Jared. Fans, thanks for listening. This has been the Racer H2O podcast.